Welcome to the time of your life, the show where I ask, what would you do if you won a $2 billion lottery? My name's David Plouffe. With me today, I've got Zachery Wincheseter, the nonsense and mustard man.
The maple mustard man.
The maple mustard man.
Yes.
You heard it here first, folks. Zach.
Yes.
Happy to have you here.
I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be given an opportunity to plan this reality. I don't think it's going to come in the form of lottery, but one of these days.
Sure, you know, there's lots of things more valuable than money, depending on who you ask. But you, my good friend, just won $2 billion in this lottery fantasy. I want you to imagine that you've got that settled into a bank account. You've spoken with whatever lawyers or attorneys that you need to talk to, and you can do whatever you like. The time is 4:38. We're in Ferndale, Michigan. What do you do first?
Do I get the entire $2 billion?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Lump sum. And
okay.
We're going to pretend that like taxes are not an issue, or maybe it was a $4 billion lottery and then you paid $2 billion in taxes. So you have $2 billion.
All right. Down at the credit union. So, as a general umbrella of all of my choices, there's some themes.
Okay.
That I'd like to present at the beginning. The first of which is that I'm trying to make the most bang for these bucks, even though there is 2 billion of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. You're not going to run out for a long time unless you do something very spectacular.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that I'm going to be thrifty.
Sure.
Well, kind of. Or say thrifty, not frugal.
Okay.
But also, okay, so there's going to be some hedonism.
Of course.
But I find that the hedonic treadmill is so incredibly boring and soul sapping if there isn't also philanthropy and charitableness peppered amongst
It's
that.
all about finding that balance.
Yeah. And I find that the funnest shit, like truly the most enjoyable things to do, is the archetypal Ebenezer Scrooge at the end of Muppet Christmas Carol.
Sure.
Skipping
the
through town,
redemption
making it
story.
rain. Yeah.
Does he do that? Is that how that ends? I haven't seen it in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I'm specifically Muppet Christmas Carol. It's it's the thing that is, he wakes up and he's got the gratitude for that. His
Ghosts of Christmas past
he's not
and present,
dead. Yeah,
future, and he
sorted through his past. He was shown the suchness of the present, and he has this newfound love of humanity where there was scorn and skepticism. And he just wants to help out as many people as he can. And he just, initially the first person he talks to is the little boy down, little bunny. And,
little Timmy?
It's this little bunny rabbit. And let's keep it to Muppet Christmas Carol.
I don't think I've ever seen a Muppet Christmas Carol.
I'm going to be classy and we're not going to go straight to the source material of Charles Dickens.
Yeah.
In the Muppet Christmas Carol, there's this little bunny rabbit boy.
Okay.
And he's down there and it's
a Muppet bunny?
Tis, yes.
Okay.
And so he's like, what day is it today? He's like, well, sir, it's Christmas Day. And he's like, Christmas Day. Oh, it's like the spirits did it all at once. And he's like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Yeah, sure, the spirits did it all at once. And so he's like, it's like, good lad, why don't you go down to the store and get me that fine Christmas turkey? It's like, the one as big as me? And he's like, yes, and I'll give you a shilling. I'll give you 5 shillings. And he just throws. So that's like what I would do initially too.
Do you think there are just people like out in the street? I see a lot of people walk past my apartment. I see people on bikes. I see people walking. I don't know what their reaction would be like. I mean, I think it would probably be a good reaction if I went up to them and was just like, "Hey, you want some money?"
Yeah, I would see that. I wouldn't do it quite like that, though. I would want to immediately, like, I would want my first purchase to be charitable and post-Revelation Scrooge-like, right?
Sure, yeah.
Because there's gonna be just frivolity. Like it seems like I'm virtue signaling, like I'm just going to.
So there's gonna be a party.
That night, I'm taking a couple real close friends out, a drinking and a doozling and a dancing, and I'm like gonna make it rain on a small group of people and be able to have that experience of like anybody that I randomly meet who I enjoy, like, whoa, this person's like really abundant, doing like.
So do you send that message right away? Do you have a few people in mind of who you would invite on this first day of celebration?
I don't tell anyone explicitly. I have $2 billion now.
Right.
I don't not. I mean, I really not even my family. I wouldn't say explicitly I have $2 billion. You
gotta keep it on the low.
I would start doing $2 billion person shit with them, and that would ask the question. My sister would be like, "What's going on?" No, like for my sister, it would be like, I want a tremendous amount of money, because they're like those like sister and my mother are two that like they would be given a lump sum at the beginning. Yeah, just straight up given.
So how much do you think you give them?
You're talking $2 billion. A billion is 1,000 million.
Yes.
Okay, so now this is where it's like, will I sound stingy or whatever? Like I know that I've got this that it's not like being taken away right away. Also, outer space is a shooting gallery. The geopolitical situation, like, is that like the doomsday clock and things like that. Yeah, there might, embolism could pop in my brain. So there is.
I've always heard that time travel gets invented in like 2027 or 2028. So depending on who you ask, maybe we only have like 5 or 6 more years.
Because a time traveling machine would lead to a singularity, and then
everything just like repeats or something.
I bet you thought you would have the option. You would just have the option of going in the past, and
I try not to think about it.
That would create a singularity, I would imagine. Once it's like, but that's not. Yeah, technological singularity, AI stuff. There's a bunch of ways for things to turn pear shaped, or for things for really positive things to happen in terms of economics and things. I personally would say to someone, don't bank on it. There's a very high likelihood within 5 to 10 years there is something that makes finance and economics like.
Yeah, don't quit your job.
Yeah. So I'm saying having that $2 billion.
Yeah.
I would feel some sense of urgency to get both good experience. To get it. And this is where I'm going to be really, really earnest and say that one of the umbrella principles. So one of them is that I said at the beginning is that there's that I'm going to be thrifty about making it do the most, tremendous stuff. You want to get a bang
for your buck.
I know I'm not going to like blow through it, but I don't want to be just like stupid with it,
Yeah.
I'm gonna treat it as if I have a million, 10 million, except in these moments. Like I would say, if like $2 billion, like actually, I'll just say this way: I'm gonna split it in half. One of those billion is for doing doozles in the world.
Okay.
Charitable doozles, geopolitical doozles, some of which will actually, I have little, I wouldn't say agendas, but I have certain things where I have a preference.
Have you ever thought about going into politics?
Yeah, bunch. Yeah, I'm turning 35 in 2 weeks. I'm gonna run for president.
Oh yeah,
like a test run. Like.
You're going straight to the top. You don't think it's like better to go through like governor first?
No, that's no longer vogue. That's not. No,
oh, no, people don't do
you
that
just
anymore.
go straight for president.
Yeah, I suppose.
I'm not trying to win the presidency. I'm trying to do the thing. I'm trying to do the Andrew Yang, Marianne Williams thing, where it's like, you're gonna get some airtime.
Oh,
unless the Dems don't let. I don't want to talk American politics right now.
Yeah.
But anyway, one of the.
All I'm saying is $1 billion could fund quite the campaign.
I don't want to go straight to that. No, that's at least two presidential terms until I'm going to join. Yeah, I don't want to be
delay that.
Here's okay. Yeah, so I've got all 3 of the umbrella columns of my wealth plan. One is even though there's $2 billion. Be thrifty, not frugal, not stingy, not like me, mine. Like I'm trying to keep this at all, but thrifty. Still try to think about what's the maximum way to make this work. So but not to trail off into that too much. I'll hold this here so I remember of the three. Okay. Let's make it my pinky because
All right, bang for your buck.
Yeah, like so one of the examples is in the ways of like doing philanthropy stuff. I find that just dumping money onto an organization like can be really helpful because they've already got all of the mechanisms and the people to do things. But if you find a person who's like a pillar of a community, and you can already see that this person, whenever they have abundance, they are just a very, post revelation visitation of the three ghosts, Ebenezer Scrooge-esque like way about them already. And then you give that person $1 million. You've just done an amount of good that is so omnidirectional, and it's gonna be so great.
It really is. And a lot of stuff like that can be difficult to track. The little like butterfly effect, chaos theory, like change one small thing and then everything else changes. Something that happened to me that was kind of a big change, it's a great image, kind of a big change, kind of a small change. Something that I will do around here is I'll just pick up trash. I'm right off 8 Mile. Litter can be a bit of a issue. And it's nice. It helps me get outside. It gives me a reason to go outside and go for a walk and be in nature. And I just pick up whatever, like little bags that people have left, chip bags and stuff. And one day I was out picking up waste, and this guy sees me in a truck, and his name was Roger. And he was from the Ferndale Sanitation Department, and he gave me a trash grabber, like a little grabber tool. And it's like an industrial, like city strength grabber tool. And he's like, here, I want you to have this. And I've used it probably close to 100 times since he gave it to me, a few months ago. I would go out nearly every day. Now it's probably more like 3 or 4 days a week. I'll go out and I'll use it and I'll pick up trash. But I've picked up, hundreds of, like, I'll just use Meyer grocery bags and fill them up with like litter, and I totally clean up the street. And the reason that I started doing that is because of those like little small effects, where if people see a clean community, they're more likely to be hopeful about the world, hopeful about their own situation, and go out and do something nice.
They're less likely to retrash it. That has been, I wouldn't say proven, but tested.
Like broken windows theory. Like if there are broken windows in a community,
there are likely to be more.
Yeah.
Yes. It's the same thing. It's like the negative of like taking the first slice of pizza. And you say, if you have a pizza party, that as a host trying to coax it's like, it's good to have take the first slice of pizza, because that there's a lot of people who have apprehension.
They'll be shy.
Yeah. But once they see everybody's doing it, and that's a lot of the stuff that I would want to do. So I want so if the virtue signal meter starts getting here, then I'm going to say something purely hedonic
so
and
you
ridiculous.
Don't want to be a saint.
There is this
thing.
Is
there like a reason that you're trying to reel it back?
I think that it is the most hedonic to be like loved on a basis of your demonstrative love of humanity. And that's also something that I'd like to see, like straight up trending. There's this, like people want things to be like cool and underground, and I understand that. But if you actually want to move needles, which right now, like I've been on a thing of like, don't stop trying. If unless you get some massive platform or abilities, don't like really think so much about moving the needle in a real way, because you're talking about a bunch of different people with free will, or so some theorize we have free will. That's just not a good sale for me anymore, of like, you're changing the world. Just think about helping people, and also think one of the pillars is have an element of selfishness and selflessness to everything that I do. So if I'm about to do something and it's like, oh, that's so selfless, that's so good, it's like, well, I enjoy the neurochemical emotional feeling of things that feel like evidence to both my ego and everyone that like, oh, I'm good.
Yeah. I think everyone wants to feel good. Everyone wants to do good. And then, how you define that. Everyone defines that in different ways, whether that's receiving, the neurochemical rewards through the means of exercise, through the means of doing good things for other people, from eating healthy. There's all different ways to quote unquote like hack the system, and doing like large public works or large good, uplifting things for communities is certainly one way to, spark those receptors.
Also, public benders. Like, I would want to have public
you want to
benders.
get in the news.
Now, okay,
here's
post-political career, because that would complicate things. So this is go ahead and ask your question.
So my question is going to be, like, do you have any particular issues that you feel like really ought to be resolved? I know I've seen with the Nonsense Night, you're doing a fundraiser in real life, apart from this lottery fantasy.
I thought you meant like psychological issues.
For the Last Prisoner Project.
Okay. First, I would want to say that there is part of me that does want to say one of the first acts. So I was thinking about this on the car ride over, because I'm like, thinking about this question that I'm about to be asked. And it could seem, because I don't want to be thinking, oh, am I being selfless? Am I not? Am I being selfish? Am I being that? Or am I being too trying to be saintly? I just like, and I'm one who just like, people say like, you can quiet your mind and stuff like that. I personally see like that there's a lot of little alarm systems and things that are my personality and values that are happening, and I throw them cookies sometimes. Other times, much like having a dog. This one needs a walk. This one needs a treat. This one, could use. I have a friend who's a dog trainer, and I'm very, very, very little electrical. Just reminder of when. But sometimes it needs discipline.
You like your information in a fire hose.
Never heard that.
Well, that's because I just made it up.
Okay.
But it feels like to me you're able to process a lot, and you're able to kind of observe a lot of directions at once, and a lot of very non-linear, effectual causations.
Yeah, I would say my brain is doing that whether I like it or not. There's constant associations of things.
From what you just said, to me it sounds like you want to lean into that rather than calm it.
So I'm thinking the first thing I would do is like, I feel like it would take like the psychological transitioning into someone who is super monetarily abundant and wanting to do the best with it, but not to a point where I'm like shaming myself for not doing as much as I could do. And one of the big things is, yes, I am going to keep this a secret as long as I can, but I do think, so I think I'm gonna get bored with stealth, both stealth hedonism and
how does
philanthropy.
Hedonism look to you? Is that just going to expensive places?
First thing off the bat, I have not world traveled.
Okay.
When you said are there any particular issues that you want to resolve? First thing I was like, you mean like with me, like my past, my trauma or whatever. So
right, I haven't been to Peru yet.
Yeah, I would like. But I'm not super interested in the. Do
you have any destinations? Jungle's scary.
I want to go somewhere super isolated, and instead of like being part of a shamanic ceremony of a plant medicine as it were, I just want to go somewhere where they're like meditating in the Himalayas and just take psychedelic drugs secretively and sit with them.
That'd be a pretty cool experience. I don't even know that it would have to be secretly, listening to.
Yeah, I don't think so at all.
Like a lot of like Ram Dass lectures, he would go, to the Himalayas. He pronounced it the Himalayas. But
Himalayan salt.
Yeah.
Himalayan pink salt.
He would travel there specifically searching out like quote unquote holy people or like high monks.
Give them out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and he said that one of them, like, he gave him like 10 hits or something like that, and he just like was just like, no, I'm tripping all the time.
Yeah. I think the different responses that he shared was like, one of them said like, that's pretty good. Where can I get some more? Another one said like, it gave me a headache. And the other one said like, I didn't feel a thing. And one of his famous quotes is, you don't need a bus to Detroit when you're already in Detroit.
Yeah. That reminds me of, where am I going to go? Detroit? Okay, so here's my thought. Very early in this. So the first night, I do want to just have this really great night out. I want to quickly get my mother, father, and sister informed that I'm good. Not necessarily that I don't have to come right out there, but if it's lying through omission sort of thing, somebody asked me straight up, it's like, did you like win a shit ton of money? Like if my sister asked me that, it would be like, yeah. And then it's like, how much? And it's like, and yeah, I would have to then share that. But for the most part, other than those core people, I would just start doing exactly what I want to do right now, what I would do with $10,000. If I had $10,000 right now, I'd be able to make my art, finish my album really quickly, set up these business things that I want to do, and that's the real tester of something being like your arte, is it vocation or advocation, which is the one where it's like the thing you're supposed to do.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
All right, whatever. The thing that I would do, even if money was not a thing, but I would still like, it's good for there to be, I think it's good. I would be able to.
You'd have a safety net then to pursue whatever.
Well, sometimes a paywall is actually helpful for the work and for it being more, because a person then takes it seriously. But then I would be able, so I want to be a sort of non-therapist. So there's a bunch of I understand the therapeutic relationship, and I'm constantly putting psychology stuff into my head and any self-help, what have you, whatever. And then he's also spiritual. What's the doozle? I'm constantly absorbing more and more and more of that. And I just think that it's about demonstratively helping someone to get to the next step or closer to where they're trying to go, or to not even see it as prescriptive or they're heading anywhere, and just helping someone demonstratively, as in demonstrating to them, look, how were we doing 2 weeks ago? And now how do we feel about reality today? I think I can be very helpful in that way. And it would be, I would still want to do that for people in a dialed in way, as a service, as a revolving door, even if I had $2 billion.
Are you familiar with the therapy gecko?
Yeah, I just talked to that guy recently.
Yeah, I know he was at Electric Forest.
Yeah, I talked to him with Fractal Magical Turtle.
Is that something kind of what you're describing, like a non, pharmaceutical or non?
I am absolutely nothing like that guy, that gecko. But talking to people, yeah, and sometimes publicly, I guess. But okay, so when I said so to me, the hedonic thing, I'm not necessarily saying just going on binging and bendering.
What is the ultimate pleasure?
Okay, so there's a good hypothesis that I can make to myself that there's something helpful about when I go out into the world as my best self, and I'm doing the thing to present the better natured angels of my being. I'm one who believes in the better natured angels of America, or the better natured angels of anyone. However, sometimes, that wolf don't get fed, that particular plant does not get watered. But I've had experience in having so much, going on in my psyche and so much potential energy. And there is a thing where I can present publicly, and not in an insincere, lying through omission about the other parts of myself, but, be a good example of sorts, or just somebody who cheers people up, sort of thing. Now, have you ever heard of the thing about an adult you have your personal life, your private life, and then your secret life?
I don't know that I've ever heard that. Okay. But I like the idea.
I believe adults have secrets. Adults should have. I believe
they should have secrets.
Yeah. I think it's and now this is the individualist in me that says that there is something very special about getting to live your special little life, and to know that, I observe myself, I am so much potential energy, and then there are things that I would only do in a virtual reality, but I would try to experience that in a virtual reality, and then there's constantly language in my head that just need not be spoken. I have things I have emotions about things that I could articulate into opinions, but if that's just noise, just more noise and a distraction and not helpful and not realistic, then why don't I even have to make that mouth sound, or complaints, Yeah, I've got complaints. If there's nothing that, could go from, potential energy to kinetic redress of something I want to complain about, then what's the fucking point? Of even, but all those things. Anyway, and ethics and shit, whatever. It would be so hedonic, so pleasurable to me to have 3 years before I really start trying to like, as my avatar, save the world in like using my character.
And, no one really. I don't feel a heavy weight on myself to save the world. I don't feel like the world necessarily needs saving. Everyone's got their own perspectives, and depending on the media or the news that you consume or don't consume. I heard a great like framework or position from Dean Kamen, who is the founder of First Robotics, the robotics program in schools, where he was trying to figure out like, why are school kids not learning anymore? Like, why don't kids like school anymore? Like, what's going on? And idea that he put forth is that things are so good, like things are so abundant, things are so like, we have so many surplus resources that kids don't feel like the need of survival to do any of these things that were once required, where it's sort of a cycle of like, tough people make soft people make hard times make tough people. And it's that generational thing. But this idea that like, a kid that grows up in our like today's society,
middle to upper class United States sort of thing, or
like spend all day playing video games, watching sports, like, and then when you have that many distractions, when you have that much entertainment just available freely to you, why would I need to learn algebra, for example?
Whereas like a child in the Middle East or Africa, like a little girl being offered the oh my God, the chance to go to school, to be able to, because that's freedom, and it's showed that like the birth rates drop, and marriages that are not quite or super sub-consensual, all of that drops when girls are allowed to be educated, and that is one of the foundations. So 3 foundations I can name off the top of my head that I would immediately be like, because, and once again, virtue signal meter goes up. I'm a devil. I've got to press against that. But I am. I'm half devil, half angel, and truly half and half. And so one of the things that I say is that if this world was everybody was being totally benevolent, and everybody was, and there were no problems. There was no sinister element. There was no malice. There was no malevolence in the world. I might be the one being like, we need to fuck shit up so that there's like, so I'm just I might be a helpless contrarian. But you're like one of those swinging like a pendulum. I love that we're eating grapes, because they're like, this used to be like such a symbol of wealth.
Oh yeah.
If you could have a sprig of grapes, you were.
I mean, that and the pineapple.
I think of the movie From Hell with Johnny Depp.
I haven't seen it.
It's the Jack the Ripper one. It's pretty good. Okay, so I just said cheese in Spanish. I would immediately have a trip to spend a month in a Spanish-speaking country, and I think I would
go first. Spanish,
and it would be Mexico. Yeah, it would be Mexico.
I've heard amazing things about Mexico.
I love Mexico. Yeah, and like some of you are gonna knock this. No, near Tulum, there's a lot of places that Valladolid, this little town, like that would be so. And this is the sort of things that I would like to do, is like, instead of going somewhere where it's like super touristy, which I would sometimes.
Would you take people with you to Tulum?
Yeah, whoever wants to. Yeah. But I would want to be completely immersed. I don't want anyone's. I want to have an entire month at least. Nobody is speaking any English around me. My only English that I hear is if I call my mom.
Oh, just so you can learn Spanish?
And Peter Zan to keep up on geopolitics. But I would, I would.
Like a Duolingo?
Yeah, I would because I'm at the point now where, within 2 weeks of, I imagine, of having none, because I understand so much.
Okay.
But.
You've got a baseline.
Oh yeah. No, I'm definitely above basics. So, but I want that so bad. I want to be and the reason why it's not happening is because the immersion is necessary. So there's that off the bat. Hold on, I got a bunch of ships to land. So I was gonna say. So there's 3 just organizations I can name off the top of my head that I would want to give a massive donation of like $10 million to.
Okay.
but also, here's the strategy. I'm gonna. Because I don't want to do. I don't want to do 10 because you do 10 million. You kind of have to put your stamp on that, or I would be doing it. If I did it anonymously, I'm not actually that saintly. I'm not that saintly to give 10 million when I have 2 billion to an organization without some sense of, well, it was me who did that. So Amil.
I mean, really, your name's gonna end up on like
that's
a
so
plaque,
shitty to
and
say.
people are gonna see it and they'll be like, "Who is that guy?"
I know. I'm just trying to be honest, not just authentic as in my persona or personality, whatever. My true character, whatever. I'm definitely Jim Carrey in the sense of like we all wear masks.
Feels like it's something that's very important to you. Your self.
Yeah, these are things that really. No, it's like I want 3 selfishly. I want 3 to 5, maybe 10 years before doing any of this thing where I'm a public philanthropist thing and people have expectations of me. I'd rather, but for
all
my
of a sudden
own,
you're getting invited to galas and balls
because I care so much about these things. Man, this makes me seem like such a jerk. I'm half kidding. I'm like, I know I'm like, this is why you don't tell everybody, because then it's like, okay, so anyway, in order to enjoy, maybe not in order to, but it would help me enjoy the initial burst of hedonism and tourism and just like, I'm going to really enjoy myself off the rip.
Yeah, you're going to be getting the fireworks. And
I would want to
cocktails.
Immediately, like that moment, like one of the first things I could do, because I could do it on my phone, I would give several $1 million to Last Prisoner Project, which is organization that tomorrow's Nonsense Night in Detroit, Michigan, the Tangent Gallery.
This isn't going to get released in time.
What was I doing? Oh, I'm describing Last Prisoner Project.
Yeah.
They are an organization that helps to redress the wretched harms of cannabis criminalization in the United States of America. So they help get people out of jail, and they show you on their social media presences, they show when they release someone from jail and get them home to their family, and then help them reintegrate into free life, which is
specifically for cannabis incarcerations.
Yeah, and it's because there's a lot
which is now fully legal in Michigan.
In Michigan for sure, and it's getting close to. I definitely think that within either Biden on his way out or the next president, like immediately. But it's getting very close to where it seems that
federal,
at least the federal decriminalization. Anyway, people never should have been in jail for this is something that's like, it's both one of those opinion things of like, this is such a tragedy, such an awful thing, but also like, man, imagine sitting in jail for possessing or selling something that now people are getting tremendously wealthy on, completely above. What's the phrase? Above ground?
Above board?
Above board? Okay.
That's what I say.
All right. Not gray market. Yeah. Because that's one, because I believe very much in what they're doing. I think it's very, very important. It is, and it's one of those things of like, when you feel that something is very, very meaningful, and that, others are doing it, like there's a lot of people who I think that they're gravitating towards moments where they're actually volunteering and doing things. It seems a bit like out of their range as like their personality, those exist. And to be able to just throw money at something, not to say just, because that's a very, there's people who are ready to go and ready to, and can be so empowered by that. So that would be several million. And then
is that something that you can just do? Like
I can do that on my phone right now.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah, I could just send that on my phone.
They've got.
I mean, most nonprofit organizations or just charitable organizations have their donation button quite large and obvious.
Yeah, they've got PayPal, they've got Venmo, they've got whatever.
So
this is an ASMR video now. Eating grapes.
I love that we're eating grapes. Because the sign of, and this is a very elegant. This is very elegant.
A little glass dish. Yeah.
Very elegant glass dish to those who are just listening. I rarely ever watch podcasts. I listen. I go, if somebody new that I've never heard before, I look, that's what that one's face is like. And then I listen.
I'll do a little bit of both. Usually I'll just listen as well.
Yeah. Other organizations, just off the bat. Malala Fund.
I'm unfamiliar.
Malala Yousafzai, she was shot in the face by Taliban on a bus when she was a teenager, young child, and then she has went on to give UN speeches and she's like the Greta Thunberg of girls being educated in countries that are actually oppressive and patriarchal. I'm sorry for that actually thrown in there. Just this is the thing where it's like when you know about the world, there's
things that happen in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you said so that's organization 1. That's organization 2.
Yeah, Malala, because I've been watching her stuff for years. Like that, all that money is going to doing that, building schools.
It's a very honest organization.
Yeah, and it's like, and that could be called political of me. That could be called. So there's like, I don't want to get at like words since I'm going to talk about the like feminism, but like I definitely. Do I have to say that as an opinion? Like
you don't have to say.
That's anything. A good thing. That's a good thing. Souls that because of being born female are pretty much just doomed to a timeline where actually the awareness that you're doomed and you're locked into a way that your life is going to turn out. There's going to be very little range of mobility and freedom. Those who are intervening in that, and education does, that to me, to bring it back to the selfishness, getting a little virtue signaling here, that makes me enjoy my freedom more. If I have a sense that I'm also
contributing to the freedom of others.
Yeah, that I'm making that an effort, regular efforts that I'm part of the thing. Because I also, when you say like I don't have put a lot of pressure on myself to like save the world, mine either. The more and more as I age and dare I say mature, I notice that if we all just did a little, or if we all just existed a little less. Yeah, I mean, if we all just existed a little less. No, if we all just existed a little less. Not even like selfishly. I'm pro selfishness so long as you're not stomping on the skeletons of
maybe like non-manipulative or non-exploitative.
Yeah, like not at the expense of others. Like don't have like somebody chained up in your basement with ball gag unless at some point they sign. No, because then you'd have to constantly in order for that to be ethical, you have to constantly go down there and be like, you still down for that? Like, this is still like how you.
A lot of ongoing consent involved in that type of relationship.
Yeah.
For sure.
But anyway, no coercion or manipulation or exploitation. But I think a big part of why we're here is to enjoy being alive. And so there will be tourism.
Okay, well, what was the third organization? I don't know that.
Oh, that would be United for Iran. I know the founder was a friend I made at Burning Man, but I might just give millions of dollars to her directly because going into her organization, there's like lots of good things that can be done there for people. So that is for there's a bunch of different things. But to generalize, to support the movement in Iran, the revolution, but they're not so much about like thwarting and sabotaging the Islamic Republic of Iran so much as helping the people, the woman, life, freedom movement. Anyway,
well, here I've got a question for you, Zach, and you can answer this in any way that you like.
But hold on, bookmark that because there's also something that I want to do to fuck shit up for like dictators in the world that I think because I want to this as a person because one thing this is important to like knowing of what my choices would be with this. I'm not sure that this is what it seems to be.
Oh, reality, I'm not sure at all.
Like,
how do you feel about like simulation theory?
This could be my dream. This could be our dream somehow where like the panel's on a fly's eye.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I do like you've even got a song that you've written, "Remember You Are Dreaming," that has inspired many people.
Yeah, there's a good old chance, I think that there, but I don't want to say that there's NPCs and unplayable characters, But
I've thought about that some too. I think maybe some people are just on such autopilot for their responses and the things that they do, and they always encounter, maybe the same phrases. There's more grapes too if you want more grapes. That like it does feel like people maybe aren't really there. Like there's no consciousness behind the like just automated responses and automated actions of whether it's addiction, just seeking out one thing so like vigilantly that they are totally tunnel visioned and don't even perceive the things that they're doing or the things that they are happening around them.
They don't like what's it? Is it teroception that they when you think of yourself, when you do like you sit like they're definitely. I definitely think that the thing that I used to think just everybody was doing was part of being a human being, which is to have moments in silence where you're just thinking, holy shit, I exist. I have so many choices. Tick tock, a little bit of, thoughts of mortality and time and then, you come back to this and just those moments of self-regard. And then, and then all the smarty pants philosopher neuroscientists these days are saying free will ain't a thing. I am good. We're good. Yeah. I mean,
yeah, I've got a bunch
the
more.
food. The food. Let's talk about food for a second. Wait, did I say the 3 organizations? Yes. Okay, I don't have to go deep into it because I just want to because I take it to a dark place. But there are, I am one who publicly, obnoxiously, for an era of my life, would say a lot of things of we are all this. We are all, and I would still say we all have the spark of divinity in us, sort of thing, and stuff like that.
And that can, mean so many different things.
Oh, totally, yeah. Because my conception of God is like, sometimes I hear somebody saying it's like, did you just said God is like as if like the cosmic good guy, or just like the good part, and like I really like it's the it's all the whole, it's this. But anyway, so spark of divinity in every person's eye. But anyway, I would say things about everybody.
If there's like NPCs happening, sometimes I wonder to myself if like the most visible people, the people who do make it to those absurd positions of power, I sometimes wonder if they are the most likely to actually not be conscious and just be some type of optimization function, whether it's like a computer program type algorithm that has made its way into biology that is just functioning.
And there's the culture around it, like Kim Jong-un seems oblivious to the this is kind of weird life you've got going on. There's all these people starving and so if their house burns down, they will be punished severely if they don't leave with the picture of your face before getting their child. There's and see this is why I don't want to go off into that, because there's so much when you start a conversation about geopolitics and things like that. There's so much there is a propaganda bend to how. There is probably some propaganda bend to how North Korea is presented to us in the West, but it's bad. It's bad.
Yeah,
it's definitely.
The one thing that I find difficult to argue with is you look at just photographs, and it's they are short, malnourished, compared even with North Korea versus South Korea. People don't grow as tall because they're not getting food.
Yeah, so Kim Jong-un, for example, I would land that ship really quick so we can get back more to talk about, because I don't need to go to a drive. We don't. Is that there would be a portion of money that I would do, because I think you could do these things. You don't have to fucking pay a mercenary to murk somebody. I think with AI and I think with hackers now, there are things that can be so disruptive, non-violent things that could you could really disrupt and because I would like to see in my lifetime. I would like to see places like Iran and North Korea be significantly more free. Yeah. This is how most of my do-gooding would go. Like I said, those organizations, but most of my do-gooding and charitable stuff would be, you go into the world, you meet people who have skills and are stoked to do things.
What does that mean to you to go into the world? Go to...
Well, I'm traveling the world. The first order of business that the next 5 years of my life, I'm traveling the world. I have parameters under which I would be willing to become the parent of a child. Not just willing, I'd be the most enthusiastic. I would absolutely pour all of my existence and energy into the raising of a child. But there's this criteria. finding the other half of that production team. I would want to have at least 5 years of this experiencing being that abundant, and like a big part of it to me would be like, and this isn't my suggestion to everybody, or like this isn't like this is a personal thing of myself. It's like, before I had a child, I would want to be close to bored with abundance, all the potential, all the way just fun, like just be like, just so that my full attention is now on being a parent. Yeah. Because I think if you don't have
festivals, go to all the vendors, just get it all out of the way.
To me, it would be like perform at the festivals and stuff like that. Be like just a bunch of, because if I'm thinking about all this accomplishment and goal-oriented stuff while there's a child who needs me in their most like formative years, biggest thing to me, and this goes back to the spirituality or dreaming thing, I just keep noticing that, okay, just think of like how your day goes without like, don't think about the visuals, what happened in the rooms, what things were said. Think of it as like, those are all part of the piloting mechanism of the way that you feel and the snowball of energy that is contagious, right? Of where you're going. And so you're making mouth sounds, you're doing things, you're sending $1 million to this organization, you're putting this many $1,000s into the hand of this person on the street that you met, who's like, oh, like you see.
That's great. I like that you say making mouth sounds, like, because that's all we're really doing.
You you visit a lady of the night. You go and get a really nice meal. All of these things you're piloting. Like, just imagine
lady
yourself.
Of the day, I'm sure there's
a lady of the afternoon, afternoon delight. Yeah,
skyrockets in flight.
But like whatever you do, like imagine, and just think of it specifically with the money now, as like you're piloting this orb that feels a certain way and does a thing around
There's
you.
There's a consciousness and energy that is piloting the meat suit.
Yeah.
That you identify more so with the
Or you
energy.
can think of it as a snowball. What's that game where you're rolling around and you're collecting all the stuff around you?
Oh, Katamari?
Katamari, like that sort of thing. So what I want to do across, in general, with this $2 billion and these decades to come, but I would want to say, it's good to have, as a human brain, it's good to have like finite goals at a certain time. So I'm going to say the first decade. So by my 44th birthday, I want to know that like that last 10 years, you did a lot of world traveling. You did a lot of soaking up experience. You did a lot of like accomplishment stuff, feeling that thing. I'm doing something good in the world.
So you said 10 years from now,
I'm going to start maybe shifting into being somebody who is a parent and helpful to the world in that way that requires, age and maturity.
Well, did you run for president?
I'm thinking around that, but I'm not going to run for president while the kid is young, right?
A lot of presidents do, right? I mean,
that's an asshole move. I'm sorry.
That young, not like
if you have a 4-year-old, you're trying to run the country.
I feel like most of them have like 8 to 12-year-olds.
Yeah, they should be like
14.
8. And that's what I do. That's I think what I would do. So 44, I'd start the political career.
Okay. So you are going to start local? Somewhat local?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Here's another do-goody thing. Here's another do-goody thing that I was thinking in the car that I haven't said. Okay. So I think the most impactful thing. What did I say? Most impactful. Anyway, something that seems to me like you'd be really tracking, because all that thing that I said about being an orb and flying around is that I said, okay, just notice in life traction, like traction, or who gives a fuck. Like that's why the thing of like it should have some selfish element of making you feel good or making you feel more.
Yeah.
It's now more traction, more Katamari, more.
Momentum, inertia.
Yeah, because then you're this more powerful, helpful thing.
A catalyst.
Exactly. And so it's not, and also that's the being thrifty with this, even though it's this massive amount. I am building up a thing that is so abundant, and I feel like I'm helping. I feel powerful. I'm having the time of my life. And that's important. I'm having the time. Okay. So yeah, a thing that I think is highly effective and is tracking and makes sense, even if this is all this whole reality is coming out of your forehead, Sonny. Like this is your dream. And all these other people don't actually even exist, which I do think that you exist. I think that you exist.
Oh, yeah. I think solipsism is a dark path.
Yeah, I think we exist. Yeah. I think you all exist. But it's kind of like the noble risk. Familiar with that concept?
No.
Essentially, go do good things and don't sin too much. So just in case you're being judged, that works out well for you. And also, it's a noble thing. You did a good thing. It's not as where the other extremity.
That's like Pascal's wager, like believe in God because you don't want there to be a hell. Like
yeah, but it's kind of the more positive. It's the positive turn on that. It's go be noble because if you spent your whole life being noble, even if you kind of toiled, it's like, well, you were noble. That's good. Don't you want goodness to be?
Well,
but the other risk
that's also like a virtue in some kind of, I don't know, like which, I don't remember which philosophy it is, but about like planting seeds for the trees that you will never sit under the shade of or something.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. I do want to sit under the shade. Like I want to sit. I want to Johnny Appleseed and see the trees coming up and hang out with the people under the trees. And in the first 10 years or so, I would be a little bit. I would be not like solipsistic, but I would be like. Let me put it this way.
Well, it's an alignment, I think.
Yeah, I'm getting this thing to be a very a sturdy ball rolling. So when the political career begins, I'm like this. I'm ready to die with how much fun I've had, you know?
Oh, yeah.
But now I'm a parent, so I can't die. I'm a parent. I don't have the luxury of... Wait, that's not Braveheart. That's... I'm a parent. I don't have the luxury of principles. That's Patriot.
I haven't seen it.
But by the time my political career begins, I want to be like the characters, not Mel Gibson himself, but like the characters in the films in which Mel Gibson is like this... absurdly ideal hero protagonist. You know, Braveheart, Patriot, We Were Soldiers. He's like this incredibly moral and also like cannot be stopped and can kill 15 men. You know. Anyway,
that's quite the archetype. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and you know,
and that's
jiu-jitsu training. And stuff like that.
That's not what you want to be.
Yeah. No. So I was saying, I want to live this solipsistic life of like this, or just like super selfish. But I want to have like that in that 10 years.
Hedonistic.
Yeah, but I love to perform too. So that's a weird thing. But there's ways to do that. There's ways to perform in the capacity that I want to do without accidentally becoming like famous to the point where it's annoying.
Yeah,
that's easy. Because I just want to do festivals and stuff. And there's so many people who do. Like, mainly, I want to do festivals. I don't do festivals. I don't need to be.
I think it's, you know, I don't want to. I've never done it. I don't know. I can't think of too many examples of people that become famous on accident, apart from like viral clips.
Yeah,
and
viral people. Yeah. So I want to live this existence. I don't have to say the whole 10 years like for that rule, but I will say a solid 10 years of like, Zach, get out all your, you know, not all your frivolity. Like frivolity never needs to stop, but just, I don't know. I really feel strongly about the thing where, to put it positively, I will feel very strongly and certain that now it is time for me to become a parent. Oh, and by the way, not necessarily biological parent. Like I might just start adopting left and right. I'm not really interested in having a like DNA replica seed. Well, biological.
Do you think? So like, let's get back to maybe like the world traveling. So you're talking about Mexico. Do you think you booked like one-way ticket?
Yeah, at first. Yeah, that trip, because I'm like, I'm there until I'm fluent as fuck. And then I'm going to want to go to more Spanish-speaking countries because that's going to be more navigable and awesome.
You'll be there for like, I mean, to get total fluency.
I just love Mexico, though. Like, I don't want to go to Valladolid. I want to go to Bacalar. Bacalar is that's not far from Tulum, and it's less touristified than Tulum. But also, I like gaudy tourist places. I fucking love Tulum.
Yeah,
man.
especially if you've got money.
Yeah.
Yeah, give me the knickknacks.
And while I'm there, my like charitable philanthropy stuff is probably just gonna be sending fucking donations on my phone, because I'm just at that point I am like, I'm here and I'm like,
well, yeah, you'll have something passive, I imagine, something
just
automatic.
because it's really like, and some people shame this of like, are you just doing it to make you feel? It's like, no, not just. I don't know about you, but I'm a very complicated thing when it comes to motivations. There's a bunch of stuff going on with every decision that I make, and if something has zero being observed by other humans social element, like that's the real stuff. So like somebody who just completely does like stealth sharing, like really like is just doing really good deeds that nobody knows, if you're doing that all the time, like then that is a special thing. But also, and you're doing it, and that's making you feel, that a certain way. Because then why are you keeping this shit a secret? So, who knows what the ratio of selfless to selfishness is? I've just found that really in both directions, selfish frivolity, hedonism, like enjoying straight up masturbatory things are more that maybe that's an intense word to use, but like I enjoy those things more when there's also that sense of selflessness, not just in the sense of like doing good stuff for people, but like I am the ocean. Like,
do you think, would you ever consider creating like, so I know Burning Man is a place you've been several times. Would you ever consider like creating your own, maybe like art car or funding like a stage or something like that?
Now, this is where I'm just there's zero virtue signal in this at all.
Yeah.
I like manual labor of like lifting stuff, like pick up and set down. I love that. And even if I'm a fucking total, like, you'd think I'd be just sipping a daiquiri on a storage container that is like, looks like a fucking 5-star hotel in there at Burning Man. I'm still want to lift stuff.
Yeah.
I like,
you want to be part of the creation,
but I want to be
part
able
of the
to say,
creation.
I'm just the lifting of the stuff, and then everything else with the stuff with it, because he's like building things, carpentry stuff, doing things right. I just want to give people money to do that. And I could like, and yeah, so an art car. Yeah. I want to have an art car. I want to have a camp with all these things. And that's just something I would just throw money at. But,
yeah,
and probably I would sip a strawberry or a blueberry daiquiri while watching that being built. But I would have just done some manual labor earlier that day.
I mean, that you'll go through that pretty quick. Do you think you'll have like a whole cooler of daiquiri?
I don't like. It would have to be like
you just
keto.
Want the one.
I don't like too much sweets. It's really novelty. When I have a margarita or a daiquiri, it's very just like to signal to myself that we're being that. This is that kind of moment. Sipping a daiquiri or a margarita, because I don't like sweets so much. But I'm sure we could get some like sort of keto margarita mix.
Yeah, I don't do alcohol anymore. I've been sober for close to 3 years now.
Your applause button?
Maybe one of these buttons.
That's appropriate.
Yeah, close enough.
I think it's this one. There we are. How many years have you been sober?
About 3, with like one exception of one beer that I drank, which I didn't even, it's unimportant.
Yeah, you know what I think? What I noticed, I lived at a AA house for a while, and I noticed a lot of things. But one of the things I noticed is, wow, this really sets you up to have, because it's like, what's a good day? What's a bad day? A bad day is easier to identify. A bunch of bad shit happens, and you feel bad the whole day, right? Or most of the day, or enough of the day for it to be significant enough to be like, this is a bad day. But what is a good day? It's a little bit so true. I mean, a really good day is easy to notice because it's a day where you feel really good and really good things are happening and you're really enjoying yourself.
Yeah, big events that are very obvious.
Yes. But when you are when you're going for sobriety and sobriety across time is a designated specific goal in your head, you have a good day every day that you don't do with that,
Yeah, I suppose. I had never made it a goal to become sober. I kind of accidentally became sober and then just kept being sober because, I don't know, it's more inexpensive and that's what I'm doing now. But I still like the glasses, like fancy glasses. Like I would drink out of a martini glass. I would drink what am I drinking?
What about like a kombucha and stuff? Like there's other drink or
I'll have a
stuff like
kombucha. I'll have like a Heineken Zero.
Mm-hmm. You don't want to achieve drunkenness. You don't want to be drunk.
The last time that I had a sip of alcohol, it made me feel a way that I did not enjoy. Mm-hmm. I think that I see the appeal of why people drink, and I spent, several years drinking a lot, and I used to really enjoy it. But I think, alcohol is a depressant. I think it lowers your awareness, and I just had made a decision at some point in my life that I would rather be more aware than less aware, even if that means that I'm going to become aware of some things that could be unpleasant. And I've just continued on that journey.
Sometimes I find that alcohol opens my consciousness up to sadder thoughts.
I'm sure it has, it lowers your inhibitions. It lowers, the probably processing rates of different information. So it can affect different people in all kinds of different ways. I was always mostly a happy drunk. So
I get a little Friedrich Nietzschean when I drink red wine.
Oh, yeah. Well, what was his? I know he said like you ought to come up with your own philosophy.
I mean, well, there's people who make an argument that he's not, if you read him as being super gothy, that you're reading it wrong and that there's a lot of hope there, If I drink vodka, I get like Russian novel, like brutal.
Well, I feel like
brutally
you just slip into character so easily and you are so familiar with archetypes that you will just like play the role.
They call it spirits for a reason, yeah. And like I found, because I was never really into alcohol until, and I wouldn't say I'm still like, but I'm really into alcohol by some people's standard. Yeah, I'm like I love tequila. I love it, and it treats me so well.
How do you feel about mezcal?
I love mezcal when it's good. I love good tequila. I love good mezcal. Yeah. All the other liquors I won't touch at all unless they're way above middle shelf, because they'll destroy me. As where tequila, I'm all right with middle. I'm unapologetically bougie about some things.
Yeah.
And
As
other
you
things.
should be.
Yeah, man. I mean, we're here, and there's like cool shit and like enjoyable things.
Yeah. Eat out of a fancy glass dish when you have the chance.
I want to travel in such a way where there is a middle ground between the urgency of the shortness of life and the fragility, or perhaps it's being upsold, but some people tell me that there's some dodgy shit happening in the world. And so, just time, tick tock. I want to spend good time in places, and I don't really want to go. I'm not interested in going places just for a pop around and look at stuff and not doing a deep dive and like connecting with people. I think AI's. I mean, already you can leverage AI for language learning really, really well. But I think we're getting close to a point where, and I'm also like, if it gets to a point where just like a Neuralink is, you're able to like, Matrix style. I know Kung Fu.
Yeah.
Like,
that's so.
I speak Mandarin and Cantonese. Like, just like if you could just like do that.
I just started playing a game a couple days ago. It's called EVE Online. And it's a big, like, outer space. You go around and, like, do whatever, mining and creating and building spaceships. And part of the game, you've got an AI assistant. And the way that you learn skills in the game is everything's automatic. It's just, like, injections. And it says, like, you are now learning whatever, marketing. And, like, you have this neural implant. And sometimes when I'm playing the game, I'm like, that could totally be a real life. Just, like, automatic learning. And I'm like, it's a little bit trippy sometimes because I don't really fully believe we're quite there, but it's definitely a possibility, right?
Yeah, there's definitely, they say by just listening. Well, it's all about comprehensible input with language learning. Like, if you need to be able to understand. I mean, however slow you need to get the pace and the rate of input, but it needs to be tracking.
Yeah.
And so I think what they do is like, there's this military language training school in America that's like supposed to be like they can go from like 0 to fluent in Arabic in like really, really astonishing amount of time, but it's like a crazy boot camp. Like it's just ridiculous the amount of. So I think that from like the data that comes from there, because they're going to start leveraging AI. And then, usually military, starts doing a doozle that doesn't become public domain doozles for a bit. But with language learning, it might, because that's. I
mean, that's how we got GPS, right? It was originally like a military, use only, and then it got released.
Yeah, and so I think with language learning, it would just be that would just become shared information. And I do think I think that one of the things that I mean, the world has to. We're getting close to some form of game B. I just really like how can
what's game B?
Oh, exactly what it sounds like, to get out of the old game. So nation states competing for primacy. That that becoming an irrelevant, obsolete game, you know. Because if not, with AI, it's that's the part that spooks me about AI. Is like I don't really actually get worried about the ways in which of like the singularity, like the things that I'm not worried about being replaced as a human.
Yeah.
Not saying that I don't think it'll happen. I'm worried about people, weaponizing things and having a drone swarm. I'm worried about drone swarms in rogue nations, or just that. But that stuff spooks me more. But I also don't think that it's super likely. Also, if there was ever a country to already have its own like defensive drone swarms ready to rip, I imagine it would be ours.
Yeah, I am so disconnected from like a lot of like news sources and things that like that type of thing is very difficult for me.
Good, keep it that way.
Yeah,
you're good. So what was I saying about with the world travel? Yeah, I want to go places. I want to, I'm thinking pretty soon. It'll be much easier because like learning language is like that's a motherfucking process. So
do you want to learn like a lot of different languages? Do you think that would increase your quality of life?
So yeah, a massive quality of life. Yeah. With your brain deterioration, so like take your lion's mane and be learning things every day.
Is that like?
Lion's mane's a functional mushroom.
I know
neurogenesis.
Okay, neurogenesis.
And be learning stuff all the time because especially now that I know I'm rich, I want to live
memory.
long as fuck now as this person.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't want to make enemies. Like I'm really glad that this happening now on the other side. There's so many things. There's so many reasons why it would be better at my age, 35, this happening. One of which is do not have, like I was saying, the thing about how it like sends a certain like I start like pumping some really good like special feeling stuff when I snap into an adversarial relationship, or think about like doing that, but I really don't want to like hurt anyone. I really don't want to like those things are all attached to it's just when those receptors are ignited after so long of dormancy, because it's not competitive. It's like, I don't know, the things that the things and momentums. It's not so much people; it's momentums that I would want to disrupt. But like that part of self, I think is important.
If you see injustice in the world, that sparks a fire in you that you want to resolve.
Yeah, and there's something, and there is some zest to
the undermining of
the Game of Thronesian sort of vibes,
I haven't seen it, but I'm familiar enough, I think, to understand the reference.
But that's not a big part of my being. And there's the risk in that. I don't want to make enemies. But I think that's the thing. I would do it in a way where I'm not making any enemies.
Right now, from what I am able to observe in your life just through Instagram and other, venues, you seem to be very good at, or very like a large part of your experience is like event organizing and gathering people together to have good times.
I haven't talked about that at all.
Do you think you would continue to do that?
Yeah. So this thing about like, as if I just really don't want the cat to be out of the. I don't want to be annoyed. Yeah,
you don't
by
want people to learn that you've got.
I've been annoyed by people before,
like,
and
even without that.
Yeah, and people. I've had human beings. Not. You should be able to decide who you associate with and interact with. And but now I can just fly away from anyone annoying. I want to do very social things. So one of the things, this is the thing that we're talking about, like I would like Nonsense Night to become one of its functions to be identify and hopefully just like pretty organically make friends with people in places, countries where they have limited mobility, not freedom, not safety. And I happen to have a short list of humans right now that I would
host a Nonsense Night in other countries. Is that what you're saying?
That as well. But one of the things that I would really like to do that it's already ready to go is be able to fund everything to be able to make possible their visiting, not necessarily immigrating right away. Though I know some who are like, I want to be an American. Get them here and have Nonsense Night be, that community can be like, When somebody who is stoked to have their world opened up and to have so much more freedom of movement, that to me is the most, once again, to make it the selfish part of it is being around someone who is super stoked to have all of these tremendous privileges that you've taken for granted. It shows you that you have them. Not so much like experiencing, super not freedom, not safety personally, but to be in the presence of someone who is so excited about, I think that is helpful for everyone around gets excited about themselves, because that's something that gets me super stoked and excited. That's not just, if there is no like game of morality at all, like there is no move the needle. There's just a personal experience, and it is in the most selfish, solipsistic way. That being enthusiastic about life sincerely, it's harder for some people. I'm one who it does happen to happen often, but one of the requirements is everybody around me can't be, giving up. Let me put that more positively. Having like my social environment being like reality is a good thing, and I'm here for this, gets me stoked, and I know that gets other people stoked. It's a very stoking thing. So that thing where we help somebody come here, and I know people have their very meaningful complaints and grievances about modern day US of A, but there are people who to come here would be a relative paradise, and to help make that happen, and then they stoke my soul. That would be super sweet. And then putting Nonsense Night in other places for sure. Yeah, Nonsense Night Tokyo.
That's
Noche de Nonsensico and La Ciudad de Mexico would that would be so fucking fun. Yeah, and to be able to just do that, and to have the little credit card that has the symbol, the symbol on it.
Do you have a name for that symbol?
The IDOCO.
The IDOCO?
And the symbol of I don't know. The IDOCO.
Oh,
I have it tattooed on my. I get a bunch of tattoos, not right away.
You have like some dream tattoos that you want to get right now?
I want to get some things covered up by prettier things, and I have artists that I trust to be able to just make that pretty.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would out the gate, a lot of the do-goody stuff is going to be about funding things and stuff like that, because I do think that initially experiencing unapologetic, just like shameless enjoying myself and settling into that my existence is now, even though I recognize my tremendous relative abundance and privilege and freedom to so many others in the world, and those that I even observe within a 30-mile radius, not to lament, but this shit has been this much fun, this much stress, this much feeling like I don't have the option to do that.
And for those who are just listening, that's a medium amount of fun, a large amount of stress.
It's hard to say, because negativity bias is, I notice that more and more.
Oh, is that like the idea that I know, like evolutionarily, we are more likely to scan for
threats.
Yeah, threats.
So it's like I just noticed that the negative really stands out in our brains. There are those who seem to have this less, but this is a very first world problem sort of thing. But after any performance I do, I step off, and no matter how well it went, usually I'm hyper aware of what went wrong. And I used to think God, why am I such a fucking negative Nancy? You just look, everybody out there is happy. Why are you so and somebody might come up and be like, that was great. And I'll be like, man, the thing with that was that, but I'm not, and I fucked up here and here and here. And I used to think that God damn, why am I such a person? Why can't I just enjoy, myself and that? But negativity bias is, I think, what's going on there. And what the only way to use it is that I just write. Somebody told me this thing of write down. Give yourself time to worry about when a worry pops up, and it's something that you can do something about. Write down that you're going to give 20 minutes to think about and strategize, not just sit and worry about it. And so with the thing of like coming off stage, like those sort of things, or like any festival, it's like, how was your festival? It's like, I'm so aware of like the embarrassing moments, things. My Lakes of Fire was tremendous, by the way. I had 4 days where I barely even had negative thoughts or like,
that's fantastic.
and that's unheard of for me, even with drugs. That is, you don't have
4 days in a row
where you don't, when you don't have some, significant distress or just, existential discomfort has been, I'll say, a big part of my past. Like, wait, that's not knock on wood. Like, it's like, I used to experience a lot of existential discomfort, and that's and now to talk about money and stuff as a don't buy happiness sort of deal. Like, you can be mega wealthy and uncomfortable in your own flesh suit.
Oh, absolutely.
I seen it.
Yeah.
I seen it.
Yeah.
And so with the thing of like wanting to settle into this new, like, abundance, lack of abundance isn't the problem. Like, lack is no longer the problem. Lack of potential energy is no longer the problem. I would want to have some time where I'm really like, it is my big personal mission to be settling into that being the new way that I regard my consciousness. I want to do stuff and I want to affect things. But again, I'm not convinced that thinking about it in terms of affecting things is the nature of this reality. I'm not sure of that.
I think that's a good thought. And I'm gonna cut us off here just because we're on a little bit of a time constraint.
I don't like cocaine. I'm glad I don't like it. I know it doesn't work well for me. I just wanted to say that. I don't.
You get that, sneak that into the. Make sure that makes the cut of the.
If the question is what would you do with $2 billion, it is implied. Well, what is your relationship with cocaine?
Well, do you have any maybe closing remarks for the people, or any final words of wisdom?
There's a lot of voices on the internet saying stuff about money and your relationship with it. And I have nothing new to add to that. Other than that, if I had $2 billion,
you'd be rich.
That would be really, really, really a really, really good thing for me and a lot of people. And I'm sure of it because just enjoying oneself and just doing the luxury thing, I think would get old in like a couple of weeks. And it would be like, I'd be back on the seeking meaning train, And so I think money helps you, can help you do, meaningful stuff, but it is definitely not a requisite to have a meaningful life or an enjoyable life or a meaningful day. And there's a knock at the door. I don't know. That wasn't going.
Well, you heard it here, folks. If you've got $2 billion, give it to Zach. But money can't buy happiness.
I honestly don't like cocaine.
Thanks for tuning in.